Live at Lunch.
You are looking live.
Live at Lunch. Live at Lunch with Ott and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
What the hell's going on out here?
Now, here's Jimmy Ott and Charles Hannegriff.
Yeah, for some reason or another, you sound a little taller on radio.
Is it live? Is it live? Is it live?
From Rufino's on Highland Road, welcome to the, what's today, Friday edition of Live at Lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Charles Hannegriff, Jimmy Ott, Max Gotro.
He's got to know. I mean, he's out the gate strong. They know what day it is.
I know what day it is.
Freaking Rufino's.
Hey.
Come on, man.
We're the only people.
You see the traffic?
Yes, we're the only people left in Baton Rouge working right now, okay? So.
Really?
Well, I'm exaggerating, but just as such.
Yeah. No traffic. There are a lot of people hitting the road.
It's Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah, that's what
Memorial
they do.
Day weekend.
I'm staying put.
That's okay.
Go sweat my games at the Queen.
All right.
Get ready.
Hey,
yeah.
well, you're always you're always
fun.
welcome.
It's been fun. You know, I know there's not. Well, there's not. You know, from a local perspective, but you know, there's. Some of these teams are just playing, and some of these teams got something on the line. But man, it's still kind of fun. You know, betting these games. And Charles Schwab, just keep playing like you what do we say? Don't get mad, get action.
Yeah, just
bet the unders, huh?
Quit beating your head up against the wall. I mean, it doesn't matter sometimes.
I think
9-1
to the under.
It doesn't matter who's pitching. It doesn't matter where the wind's blowing. It's just
it was blow because the first couple of days. What do you say? About 20% of the time, it will blow out the games at Charles Schwab.
From what I've been there,
yeah, that's what I think. And 20%, maybe 30% neutral, and 40% or 30%, blowing in, whatever. But it was blowing out the first couple of days, and they were flying under.
Yeah.
So.
Well, we're getting to the point in the week where there's going to be some depleted bullpens. There's going to be some desperate teams. I don't know what that means, but we'll try to sort through. Some of this stuff. I know one of the desperate teams is going to face LSU today.
It's winner. You know, they got to win.
Winner go home. They managed to hold on yesterday against Auburn. A couple of double plays really helped out the Aggies, but they get. They get the win, but at what cost? And I'm not talking about the pitching so much as I'm talking about Jace Lavalette being out.
Broke his hand,
and that's their best hitter. That's now 3 premium bats that they're down from the beginning of the season.
He's the best hitter, but the top hitter's already out. The top batting average.
Sorrell, and so you say Sorrell was the guy who hit the home run to beat LSU on Sunday. Sorrell, he's out for the season.
Top batting average on the team.
Lavalette is, top.
He's the best player.
Yeah, and then they lost Grahovic before the season really even started. I think he played 2 or 3 games or something like that. So, been a rough go for them. They do, however, and I was talking with you this morning on the text about this, they do have a lot more pitching than you might think. I think the idea out there is that A&M's completely out of pitching. That's really not the case. They threw Prager, their ace, in the opener. He's done. And they threw Lampkin yesterday, and he's done. But everybody else can pitch. Miles Patton is going to go for them. He threw 6 innings against LSU. His ERA is just a touch over 5 for the season. So it's not like we're talking about, Clayton Kershaw here. But he did throw 6 innings against LSU in the Sunday game. He gave up 4 earned runs. It was, it was an okay performance. They do still have Clayton Freshcorn, who only threw 22 pitches. They do still have Brad Rudis, who has got a 2.5 ERA, who only threw 14 pitches. They still got Gavin Lyons, who threw only 14 pitches. He's got an ERA under 3. And they've still got, at least 1 or 2 guys. They still got Weston Moss. He pitched in the first game. He pitched yesterday 2 1/3 innings. But he's pitched on consecutive days twice this year. And he's pitched twice in a SEC series 4 times this year. So if they bring him back for an inning and change, that's not – and he's probably their best bullpen arm. So it's not like – they've got 4 guys who are all tested, pretty good SEC guys that they can throw today. I don't think they got enough pitching left to win the tournament.
It's not Charles Schwab, but it's way bigger than the average SEC venue. And who did Texas throw out yesterday? His first career start.
I forgot the kid's name.
Okay, and he was mowing them down.
Yeah.
We've seen pitchers, these mid-level pitchers, come in and, man, how about the reliever for Tennessee? How good was he?
He was fantastic.
Okay, well, compare his numbers for the year. You know
what was really strange about that game?
They could not get a good cut on him.
Right. You know what was really strange about that game? Those two kids that you're talking about pitched great. You know who didn't pitch great?
Oh, the guy.
Liam Doyle didn't pitch well.
Is he the pitcher of the year in the SEC?
Liam
He's
Doyle,
going to be
yes.
top 10, something like that.
Top 5.
Top 5.
He's the SEC pitcher.
A little bit of a hothead, though.
Well,
Vitello, I mean, he loves him. I mean, it's kind of
no such thing, bad student, only bad teacher.
Your team is sort of a reflection of your coach,
yeah.
And I mean, but no, they had to go out there and calm him down, dude. Just relax, man. But
that's a second straight bad outing for him.
And he got popped in Arkansas.
And the other guy that got hit yesterday was Dylan Valanis, the reliever for Texas, who is the SEC Freshman of the Year. Okay,
boy, he's got some stuff.
He's phenomenal, but he got hit yesterday, and
I know.
In the last, we talked about freshman Walls earlier this week. Going into May, he had an ERA under 1, and his WHIP is still under 1. He's only given up 10 earned runs the whole year, but 6 of them have come in the last 4 outings. Okay, I don't know if he's hitting the wall or he's played some really good teams. That's against Arkansas and Tennessee, so those are teams that can hit. But the 2 best pitchers out there yesterday didn't pitch well. The other 2 guys pitched great.
Yeah, I mean we've seen. I mean, we got guys like LSU in the past that have no plan of ever trying to put them in a regional. You'd have to go back to the 6-team regionals to have these caliber, these guys that far down the line and go and throw 6 1/3, 3-hit ball. I mean, it's a much big compare the Tennessee guys, the reliever who finally and they didn't. I think they botched some plays in the field on him too.
Data here, okay? Did LSU go into the 2023 SEC tournament with a top 8 national seed locked up? Yes, they did. Was Paul Skeens going to throw in one of those games? Yes, he was. He threw against Arkansas, and how many pitches did he throw? 88, okay? So I might set the over-under a little bit higher than 75, but not much. I would think in the 80s. And Skeens was yanked in the 4th inning of that game. Arkansas was fighting off pitches, as I remember. And Dave Van Horn threw Hagen Smith out there and did the exact same thing. Fewer pitches, but he threw the exact same 3 2/3 innings that Skeens did on 12 less pitches, and they got him out of there. And Arkansas ended up winning the game, and it was ho-hum, whatever. And Johnson told you earlier in the week, hey, I think we got a top 8 national seed locked up. He says, I'm not on the committee, but I think we got it.
I do too.
And I do too. Not a lot yesterday happened that changed my mind a whole lot.
You don't think Tennessee took Alabama's host?
I meant from a top 8 standpoint. Yes, Tennessee has now put themselves in position to host. But
would you put them ahead of Alabama?
Yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
They're ahead of them in the RPI. Yeah. They now have more SEC wins than them. Yes, absolutely.
That's what I think happened yesterday. Although they were down 4-0.
You're right. Yeah, but the only thing that happened yesterday that this is my ode to Hunt Palmer. Hawaii lost their game and ended up going up 5 RPI points. So somewhere Hunt's head's exploding because that affects Oregon State's Q1 wins. But other than that, there wasn't a whole lot that happened yesterday that changed my mind about LSU very much. Clemson may be playing their way into the conversation. They had a really competitive game with NC State.
Yeah, 5 lead changes, 7-6. Great game.
They hung on with fly ball to warning track at the end.
I thought it was
hold your
out.
Breath.
Yeah. I don't know how the park held it. Yeah, because in Durham, the wind had shifted. It was kind of blowing out last night.
Yeah, they did go 1 RPI spot in front of LSU from 8 to 9. If that makes you, nervous, okay. I'm still going to go back with my 19 wins is going to be a host site. Every day of the week out of the SEC. Your RPI is close enough. Your Q1 wins are close enough. I don't know what they're going to do with Oregon State. That's the that's the wild card because they're not in a conference. The other thing, I guess, that caught my attention was Auburn was number 1 when we woke up yesterday in the RPIs. They lost the game to Texas A&M, whose RPI is in the 50s, and they slid down to 5. Now, after the night session, they bumped back up to 4. So a loss to Texas A&M today would probably hit LSU. I don't know how hard. It might be worth a couple of spots. Is that enough to, warn you off? I don't think so. I still think LSU is a top 8, and they're favored today. They're minus 300, and we understand. But A&M does have enough pitching to get through this game with quality arms that are SEC arms that they don't have to go dig into their bullpen for a guy who hadn't thrown except in midweek games.
We're live here at Rufino's today. Come on by and see us. If you hadn't hit the pavement and headed out of town, if you're listening to us out of town, we appreciate it. But if you're coming over to Rufino's, it's kind of the calm after the storm, with Mother's Day, graduation, Easter, and we're talking about, Charlie, commencement at the Stately Oaks to this first of a fine dining celebrations at pre-K graduation. So, it's a career achievement that certainly calls for a celebration. So anyway, lamb lollipops, the New Zealand lamb, caramelized fennel cream, za'atar, tomato agrodolce. Boy, Patrick is trying to throw me off today, huh? My goodness. But the lamb, they're really good. Get a medium. Lobster and corn ravioli, the crispy fried ravioli with a vodka tomato cream sauce. That's our 2 appetizer features for today and throughout the weekend. A seafood fra diavolo. Oh, baby, the Gulf shrimp, blue crab meat, mussels, Calabrian chili tomato sauce, fettuccine. Suggested wine pairing is a stout family Sauvignon Blanc out of Napa. White with seafood, Charlie. Veal, salta and bocca. The penne veal cutlets, cauliflower au gratin, crispy prosciutto with sage. The suggested wine pairing is an Archery Summit Pinot Noir out of Williamette. Our dessert feature for the weekend, bacon fat streusel with vanilla ice cream. It's a peach cobbler. Hello. There we go. So we got, come on by and see us over here at Rufino's.
They didn't call it pre-K when we were that age. They called it nursery school. We went to Burger Chef after we finished nursery school. Live at Rufino's, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Rufino's on Highland Road on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
All right, let's check in with Thunder Central. That's right, all these future bets tied in with the Thunder. And look at here, when it's all said and done, we're just sitting in the catbird seat with a 2-0 lead, huh? No sweat, no crazy text, huh? Mamacero, huh? No need.
Well,
we play 60 around here, baby.
Well, if you saw my tweet last night, I thanked the OKC Thunder for having a stressless victory. There was nothing to worry about. They actually scored first. They took the lead early, and there was a couple moments where you thought, oh, here we go again, they're going to blow it, but not really. They were completely in control the whole way, and it was nice for once not to have to yell and scream and get the old blood pressure up. And, I enjoyed that. I enjoyed it. It was exciting.
Well, Charlie will vouch for me here, but I'm going to pay you a compliment because this is explosion of sports gambling media, okay, with, them, expanding it outside of Nevada. All right. And one of my biggest, I can spot them a mile away. Guys giving me opinions on games and sides they ain't got a nickel on. Chris, we don't have to worry about that with you, sir.
Invested.
You are invested. Yes. So that's the ultimate compliment. Now, but also, you've done this long enough. Settle down, boy. Come on, man. You know that. Come on. But OKC, I think they may have gotten past that point. They're younger than Auburn, and we just don't. It's playoff season. They'd be the youngest team since the Bill Walton Portland Trailblazers, who beat that great Sixers team in 6 to win the whole thing. So that's part of the battle, Chris. Don't you think that's part of what your frustrations have been?
Yeah, I guess maybe the fact is that Denver with Jokic is probably the best team they were going to have to play. The thing that's got me a little bit nervous about OKC is they remind me a lot of my Celtics. They play really good defense, But some of these offensive sets where they're just in a funk or they can't get the three ball going, and like I mentioned last week, they haven't been shooting the three ball that well. But I guess you're right. I guess they kind of conquered the hill of the best player in the world in Jokic, and now they're playing a Minnesota team that one of the biggest flaws Minnesota has is they turn the ball over a lot. And the defense by OKC has just been absolutely sensational. And I don't know if anyone caught the interview Caruso had with SVP after the game on SportsCenter. I thought it was such a great interview. I mean, this guy, he's probably he's the veteran leader on the team, and I really like what he had to say about SGA and his teammates. And that interview right there really gave me confidence. Wow, this team's they're gonna win it. Although this Indiana team is completely crazy, and I'm sure you guys have gone through the stats. And so I mentioned it last week. I would love to see Indiana versus OKC. The styles, the fast pace. We could have an explosive finals. We don't need those Knicks. We don't need those Knicks fans in the finals, right? Just get rid of the Knicks.
We'll get to that Knicks fan, Paul Bovey, in a second. We'll get a Paul Bovey update in a second, Charlie.
So this is the point of maturity.
We need Pacers OKC. Let's get Pacers OKC for an exciting finals. Ratings be damned. The basketball will be great.
This is the point of maturity for me for Oklahoma City. And ordinarily I wouldn't pay any attention to it, but in these playoffs, 22-point lead gets cut to 11, gets cut in half with 4 minutes to go. Mm-hmm. Now, 11-point lead with 4 minutes to go should be you're still in control of the game. But in these playoffs,
pay attention, yeah.
In these playoffs, we've seen the Knicks, we've seen the Celtics, we've seen so many collapses. Okay, the arena got just a little bit quiet, and that's where we've seen some of these other teams fall. OKC does not. Okay, they go down, they get a bucket. They assume control, and this ends up not being a sweat. But tell me that just for a second, when they cut it to 11 at the 4-minute mark, that you're not thinking, here we go again? Is it going to happen to OKC too? And it didn't.
Chris, you would be the first to be worried.
No, I was 100% worried, but then I thought about it, and I go, the one thing that the Knicks could not do the previous night, what OKC could do is get a stop. And they just relied back on the best unit left in the playoffs, and the best unit probably the entire playoffs is the OKC defense. And when they can just put that test, Caruso and Dort, and even SGA is a great defender, if they put these guys in the position they get a tip, they get a block, they get the rim defenders out back. So it's really tough to go on a 20-0 run against OKC as it is against the Knicks. I mean, the Knicks the collapse is legendary, but some of the threes are just wide open. They weren't even guarding them, and the turnovers, the missed free throws, all that stuff. SGA and Jalen Williams, they're not missing 5 out of the last 9 free throws down the stretch, and they're getting stops, the things that the Knicks weren't doing. So I think the fact that you can rely on OKC's defense, the best unit left in the playoffs, the best unit probably in the playoffs altogether, that's something you can really hang your hat on, because they're going to get that stop, and they're going to eliminate the fact that it's really tough to score 20 straight points in the NBA, especially against that defense.
Growing up in the Boston area, Chris, I'm sure you have a warm spot in your heart for the New York sports fans, but, they were throwing a street party after they bailed out in Game 1 against the Pistons. If you saw the Friday night celebration, it's just and in the media is something. So anyway, have you talked to Bovey? He's supposed to come on with us next week. He was doing some stuff yesterday, but he was at the Garden last Friday night. He'll be there again tonight. He went from, man, it's just like old times in the 90s, and he didn't know how prophetic he was going to be. Where the Pacers come back in the last few minutes, just like the 90s. But the Knicks done? Or, these Pacers every round, I hope you don't bet against the Pacers in the finals, because they got one more in them. Is one of these crazy comebacks. They've done it every stage of the every series in this postseason.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you guys have reiterated this stat or not, but it's the most amazing stat I've ever heard. And since 1997 in the NBA, teams with a 7-point lead with 30 seconds or less to go were 1 in 1,700. Now they are 4 in 1,704, and the 3 times are the Indiana Pacers this playoffs. That doesn't make any sense. I don't know how that's even possible to go, 30 years of basketball when these situations have occurred, and for the same team to do it 3 times in a 4.5 week span is absolutely mind-blowing. I did not bother Paul during the game. I gave him a 24-hour window. I texted him last night just to see about his well-being. There was proof of life. He is alive. Everything seems to be, going okay. He said it was a very rough day for him.
Said like he had lost a relative. And he said he kept watching the shot and, watching it just bank off the back iron straight up in the air and waiting for it to not come down. Kind of like we watched the Rams Saints no interference call, the no call. We watched it over and over just waiting for a flag to happen or for the Saints secondary to tackle Stephon Diggs in that divisional round game. So, oh, man, we're going to talk to him, but it's just I mean, you grew up, but was it like this, shoving this New York stuff down your throat? Any type of glimpse of any little piece of success when you were growing up?
Yeah, it was more of a Red Sox Yankees thing for me. We were always a little redheaded stepchild to the Yankees for all those years, and it got to the point where we go to games and you'd have to listen to idiot. I mean, I would call them out too. Idiot Red Sox fans chanting "Yankees suck" when the Red Sox hadn't won anything in 80 years. It was just like you couldn't even go to the games anymore. It was just you were upset at your own fans, you were upset at your own team. But we finally got through that. The Celtics-Knicks rivalry wasn't really much of a rivalry as the Knicks. The Knicks and the Celtics were never really good at the same time, except for that early '80s when Bernard King was a legend, and unfortunately he got hurt. So I don't really even hate this Knicks team. What's the hate? I mean, Tibbs is an ex-Celtics coach. Jalen Brunson, I mean, what's not to like? I don't like that he's getting all those preferred calls, same as SGA. Let's play it fair, guys. But they're a likable team, and I think they'll have heart. I mean, Tibbs isn't going to quit, and Brunson's not a quitter. And they did have a 14-point lead with 2 minutes to go, so it's not like they're not as good or just as good as the Pacers. But that was a tough one to come back from. I mean, you're paying a massive tax tonight. I saw it up to 6.5.
Yeah.
Kind of crazy. The first quarter is 2.5, where the Knicks usually aren't notoriously quick starters. So I might be looking at the Pacers in the first quarter tonight. Maybe they roll a little bit of that energy into the first quarter. You're getting an extra basket because that wasn't the line in game one. So I'm surprised it's up this high, but, maybe they figure this is the whole season. They're going to pour it all out, and Knicks will get the blowout, and Pacers are, happy getting one. But I'm not so sure. That's a lot of points to lay.
What'd you think about the Preakness?
Well, I know you were kind of cutting me off last week when I was trying to give out those supers. We had all the right horses. We just didn't have them in the right order. I know I've seen a lot of stuff this week with, Asmussen saying that Rispoli rode him like a rented mule. And, some people were mad that Pratt came over. Bassett was trying to, screw up the Preakness. But I'll tell you, watching it and then rewatching it and watching the calls of both the Pimlico track announcer and the great Larry Colmus, I mean, I had chills for like 2 hours. I must have watched the replay like 50 times. I absolutely loved it. I know there was controversy, very dangerous around that corner. That could have been a complete catastrophe. But I mean, that was one of the more exciting horse races I've ever seen. And for him to battle through either the bad ride or the bad trip or Baffert trying to screw him a little bit, I mean, for him to not only get out of there unscathed, but to win, it's something I'll never forget. That was just one of the, and on the 20th anniversary of the Fleet Alex almost going down at the same track and the Preakness in 2005, it was just awesome for me. And being a horse racing fan, I absolutely loved it.
Charlie, I think we agree. We talk about what sticks and trying to place things historically. We'll remember that Preakness. Yeah. We'll remember that. We will remember that the game one with the Pacers and Knicks. I mean, we compared. What was it like in Game 5 when Reggie Miller did it, and now, and the things like that. There's so many similarities. But these will be memorable.
Chris has seen way more horse racing than I have, but I'll remember this as the most troubled trip in a Triple Crown race where the favorite overcame that much trouble. Because I told you on Monday I thought the one should have been DQ'd. We looked at it a bunch of times.
I thought the the journalism did just as much bumping as
And so the stewards agreed with you, but that's the most trouble trip I've seen in a major in a Triple Crown race.
You going to the Belmont again at Saratoga, Chris?
Yeah, so next week I'm unfortunately not going to be able to be with you because I'm going to be on a flight at that exact same time. But I will be back the following Friday reporting to you live from Saratoga Racecourse in the beautiful Saratoga Springs, New York, for Belmont Week Festival. So we will be talking 2 weeks from Friday and 2 weeks from today. And I can't wait. 5 days of racing. They just sent out the post times today. We start on Wednesday, 10 race card Wednesday, Thursday, Sunday, 14 race card on Saturday and Friday and Saturday. Hopefully we're praying for great weather. It's been some lousy weather back east lately. So hopefully we get great weather. We'll have great racing. And the Belmont, if everyone goes in the race with journalism, sovereignty, Baeza, hopefully Rodriguez, could be just an epic Belmont. I can't wait to be there.
I don't think journalism is going to go. Are you hearing otherwise?
I didn't think so. Right after the race, but he's shipped up there. He looks healthy. He's eating pretty well. I saw some videos of him, but we'll see. He's gonna do his best for the horse. But he looked pretty happy in his new stall up there.
Max, you heard that? Journalism's eating well. Okay, so we got a shot. All right. Chris, enjoy the weekend, brother. We'll talk to you in a couple of weeks after.
All right, thank you guys. I appreciate it. See you, Max.
All right. Don't forget our friends at Legacy Title. Chad Reynolds and Legacy Title for all your real estate closings. 296-0060, full-service title company servicing all of South Louisiana. Our great team over at Legacy Title, Ashley Bonham-Donald, Mariana Broussard-Haynes, Adrian Reese-Galata, Michael Platt, Natalie and Bradford Smith, and, of course, Chad Reynolds. Buying, building, refinancing, nobody chooses but you. Choose Chad Reynolds, Legacy Title, 296-0060.
Live at Rufino's Live at Lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Jimmy, Charlie, and Troy. Three best buddies sitting around talking sports bets. Let's welcome in Troy Macker from Bet Rivers.
Holiday weekend, Troy. What you got, man? It's warming up in your area of the country. What you got planned for the weekend?
Well, it should be warming up, but in the Mid-Atlantic, in the D.C. area, spring is about 11 seasons. That takes about 5 months. So it is very chilly here today. I've been wearing shorts all week, but today it's in the high 50s. But nonetheless, we'll crack open the grills. The pool's open this week. And for me, actually, this is a fun weekend because of I'm a former college lacrosse player. I coached AAU lacrosse for a while. I still have some players who are playing in the NCAA tournament. This weekend's the Final Four, so I love watching that.
Who's in the Final Four this weekend?
We got Syracuse and Maryland playing in one, and then Cornell is playing Penn State, who rallied back from eight goals down to beat Notre Dame, the reigning national champions, in the quarterfinals. And if I had to have a bet, I'd take Maryland. I don't like Maryland. I've never liked Maryland, but they've made six of the last nine championship games. And they every time they've lost a championship game, they come back the next year and win. And they lost last year, so it's a Notre Dame. So Maryland plus 250, I do like that.
In one of the greatest lacrosse players ever from Syracuse, maybe the greatest, Jim Brown.
I would say you're talking 5 of the 15 greatest: Jim Brown, the Gates, Paul and Gary, and then Mike and Casey Powell, the Powell brothers, who are just sensational. So Syracuse, not what they used to be, always good, but yeah. And it's funny, people don't realize that Jim Brown is probably the greatest lacrosse player of all time. Multiple rules were changed because of how he played.
He's the only one I could name, Troy, out of that.
Well, I used to. It's the Syracuse, Maryland, North Carolina is good. Johns Hopkins, are they still good, Troy?
Not as much as they used to be, and they're a unique case because they're Division III in every other sport. They actually played in my college's conference for everything but men's lacrosse. Their longtime coach, Dave Petramala, retired a couple years ago, so they're still good, but they're not the powerhouse they had been for 2-3 decades.
Pretty good med school as well. Not that bad.
So, we got lacrosse updates. We got horse feeding. Man,
yes, indeed.
We got some great info today.
Hey, Troy. So the epic comeback. Pacers, Reggie Miller choke, the chokes, whatever, the whole thing. We know the deal. It's been talked about a lot. We know about the statistics and all the comebacks historically. But what about the live betting? Were the bridge jumpers taking the nicks with the big cushion, or did they have anybody taking a shot on these comeback Pacers at a hefty price late in the game?
So we took a loss on that game, on game one, and I was a bit confused. I certainly know the Pacers came back, but I was a bit confused. The Knicks are a public team. They're in one of our biggest markets in New York. So I went and did some digging, and, we only took low six figures on the Pacers money line, but it was the biggest payout we gave out this week. A payout of high six-figure payout on the Indiana money line. So I looked up some of the live bets and the odds we took live bets on. We had multiple people take live bets at 100-1 live money line. That doesn't happen. We had one person bet $100 at 111-1. Yeah, and then someone else bet $115 at 100-1, and then we had a litany of people bet it from 90-1 all the way down to 5-1. So there was a plethora of people backing the Pacers live. Both the Pacers and the Knicks have been comeback teams this postseason. They've defied the odds in games they probably shouldn't have won, and we know that the Knicks have not been great on home court. So now that I've dug into the data, it totally makes sense. But on the surface, I was a bit surprised because, when a heavy favorite, a heavy public team like the New York Knicks is at home in game one, I figured we would have cleaned up on that, but that actually wasn't the case because the odds, what were they down? 11 points with 3 minutes to go? Something crazy? To have at least two people bet over $100 at 100-1 live money line is something we do not see very often.
Yeah, I mean, less than 3 minutes ago was 9 or 11. I mean, it's funny because some other reports from some books along the East Coast, more in your area, are reporting that they were just betting more on the Knicks in game, so they actually cleaned up. So it's just funny from book to book, your particular, your customers, what they were doing. But $100 to win 11,000. I mean, in this team, they got a shot. They have a shot. So, what did you think of the comeback? It was certainly a little bit of Knicks, but I thought it was even more part of the Pacers just snatching it, winning and making the plays down the stretch more than the Knicks. Knicks played a part, but your thoughts on the last 3 minutes of that game?
Yeah, I mean, Tyrese Haliburton is just become – I mean, he's always been a superstar, a fringe superstar, certainly not the level of LeBron, KD, whatnot, Giannis, but he has been excellent this postseason, and he's the type of guy who can will his team to a win. And I think it is, like you mentioned, both sides of the coin, where the Knicks did falter down the stretch, but the Pacers are such a sturdy team. Like I don't have a lot of concern of them about, getting down 30. But also, I have a lot of faith that if they are down 10, they can get back. They have a lot of good shooters. They're a very good team. I think they're top to bottom, cohesion and unity. While the Knicks have been very good this year, very tough this year, which is something we don't typically ascribe to Knicks teams since, the mid-'90s of being tough and mentally sharp. But I think the Pacers are just such a sturdy, even-keeled team. They have talent top to bottom. The way they've constructed this roster is really good. Miles Turner is one of the least talked about, very good basketball players in the NBA. Getting Siakam was a steal. He's great. I think it's more the Pacers being able to weather storms and battle through everything. I feel like they played in nothing but close games throughout this playoffs. While the Knicks have played in close games, they've had to dig, scrape, claw to get back in games. Deep holes, as we saw against the Celtics, where I think the Pacers are better suited to just engage in a slugfest. Maybe you get caught a couple times, your knees get buckled, but you're never out of it. And you're able to stay in the pocket until the final horn, and that's what they're able to do. And I'm so happy Game 1 went that way because this has all the makings of a vintage, instant classic playoff series. All the people our age, my age, in their 30s and 40s remember Pacers Knicks from the 90s. So this is what we want to see. This is very good for the NBA, I think.
All right, so the Knicks are more desperate. They trying to at least get a split on their home court. We've seen the desperate teams being backed by the public and being pretty profitable in this NBA postseason. Now we we're looking at a little bit of a tax, an inflated line. It went off 4.5 in game one. It's 6.5 tonight. Are we seeing more Knicks action that coming in in the more desperate role here?
On the spread money, 65% of the money is on the Knicks to cover, but 63% of the tickets are on the Pacers. 86% of the money line money and 73% of the money line tickets are on the Knicks, and I actually don't like that. I think that I wouldn't bet that at minus 265, or it's probably at 270 now. I like the Pacers on the money line just because of the value there, because I think they can do it again. I don't see why they couldn't. They're not a team that really runs out of gas. But there are some trends that, indicate they should probably go the Knicks' way. They've won each of their last 8 home games following a home loss. But at the same time, the Pacers have covered the spread in 7 of their last 8 road games. So, my lean here would be Knicks to win, Pacers to cover, but I can't bet on the Knicks at minus 265, given that I just don't really trust them at home.
Pacers, they won game 2 against Cleveland in that series, so we will see. And look, a lot of the Knicks players individually played really good. I mean, Towns was awesome. I mean, Brunson had 43. He had some turnovers, but damn, 43. And OG and I'm drawing a blank. The other kid, Bridges. I mean, Mitchell. I mean, they got some pretty good games, but a lot of their pieces and still lost. So that's the only thing that might be a concern there. And then tomorrow night's game with the T-Wolves. What is that action? What has it been? What was that in game 2 last night with the Oklahoma City at the spread with the T-Wolves?
Yeah, we took definitely more money on the Thunder to cover, which was a little bit of a surprise. You think there should be a bounce back there. But I believe it was low six-figure win for the book in both games 1 and 2. And I think game 3 is super important. I think that if I would not be surprised if we now start to see a shift to people really betting strong on the Thunder. It was pretty even. Leaning towards the Thunder on the money line, obviously, in games 1 and 2. But I think even though the Timberwolves are a great team, great players, great future, I think you'll see a shift because the Thunder, are really sturdy, just like the Pacers. They have a talent top to bottom. And if you're saying, well, what about the Nuggets series? They traded wins and losses. The Nuggets caught them in a couple games. Yeah, the Nuggets are an elite team with a veteran talent at the highest level that they've won an NBA Finals recently. They have all the experience. So, I think while the Timberwolves have made some deeper runs, especially last year, I think there's more likely that people are going to start to get off the Timberwolves bandwagon and start to get on the Thunder because this team looks like they have limited flaws. And then, it's very hard to guard SGA. He's getting to the foul line a lot. That's going to be a controversy for the next few games. But if your best player is able to score points with no time coming off the clock, that's going to be a big, big thing, especially when you're on the road in what should be a great atmosphere in Minnesota.
All right, we're watching Scotty Scheffler, who's in danger of missing the cut. But the first time today, he is smiling. So his approach shot on the 15th hole is about 4 feet from a birdie. He's even interacting with the fans, kind of showing it. Finally, he's hit having a little bit of success. It's been a tough round for the number 1 player in the world. Troy, enjoy your holiday weekend, man. Take care of the fam. I know you will, man. And look, springtime weather is not all bad. Trust me. It's hot down here, bud. Take care, man. We appreciate it.
Yeah, it's better than the humidity, which comes with the summer, so I'm all for it. Have a good one, guys.
Follow Troy on Twitter at Troy Macker. That's Machir. Yeah, the cut line's going to be right around even. It may get to -1 at the Charles Schwab Challenge in Fort Worth. But Scheffler is 1 over for the round today on his 15th hole. He is, and listen, he's playing the more favorable conditions. I mean, it is very calm. There may be a little bit more of a wind, but I mean, it has been ideal. He's just been struggling, especially with the putter today, Max. But he's got a shot here to go to 2 under.
Grabbed his back at one point, sort of grimaced on a swing.
I think that was on the 10th hole, but the first
Yeah,
first
right around
heat
the turn there.
Yeah.
Worth mentioning, the cut is now projected more likely to finish the day at 1 under par, so he doesn't have much to work with here.
Well, he got some work to do. He better knock down his putt, and the putter has been rough. Don't forget our friends over at Total Maintenance, my buddy Lucas Ragusa and the great team. They've been doing this for a long time. Yeah, one of South Louisiana's oldest and largest AC and heating companies since 1980, and it's been close to 30 years that Lucas and I have had this relationship, both on and, with the AC units and repair and service and maintenance, tune-ups and things like that, and also going down to some Saints games as well. Look, AC, heating, generator installations, and maintenance as well. Our motto at Total Maintenance, because it goes down now, you go on to suffer. Service today, every day. Same-day service means you'll never sleep hot if you call 480-1000. 480-1000. We're factory-authorized dealers for Carrier, American Standard, Dakin, and Rheem products. So our membership programs are really good as well. Cover all services with discounts and extended warranties. We'll let you know when it's time for your unit to be serviced. So Total Maintenance, your one-stop shop for AC, electric, generators, plumbing. Service today, every day. That's Total Maintenance.
Live at Rufino's Live at Lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at Lunch with Otten Hanny from Rufino's on Highland Road on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
At the Colonial, the Charles Schwab Challenge at Colonial, Ben Griffin with the lead. He is 10 under par, 2-shot lead over Chris Gotterup. That's a new name for me, Max. Who's that?
Bomber hits the ball a long way. Really pretty good player, young guy, but he's won once in an Altifield event. I think last year at the Myrtle Beach Classic, I believe he won.
Gottery,
Hisatsune, yeah. We hope he can make a charge today. That'd be great for me.
I had to put a little bit on him as well. So JT Poston not fading a little bit for us?
He is even par for the day, 4 under for the tournament. He's through 16. Actually, he's on 16. But he started on the back nine, so he's almost halfway through his round. Ricky Fowler, 6 under for the day. He is pulled within 4 of the lead, and
he's sizzling, baby.
Scotty Scheffler is just kind of taking it easy.
He's on his. He played the back nine first, which is the easier 9. And so he's now on 7, the third to last hole. He's after the birdie on 6. He's right down the fairway with his driver, so he's in good shape. So maybe a little momentum to close out this second round. It's been rough.
And Sam Burns not in this field, despite
surprise, man. He plays. Yeah. He's usually pretty good in the Texas tournaments.
Right,
too.
He usually plays.
Previous winner here.
Yeah.
Hour number 2, straight ahead here at Rufino's Live at Lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
He's out there somewhere in the world. Maybe even your local sports book.
Can anybody help us?
Let's bring in Bruce Marshall.
He's
soaking up some sunshine.
Sunshine State, Bruce Marshall. How you doing, Brucey?
Oh, I'm good. Beautiful Florida. Maybe my home one of these days. So that's where I am.
Well, what's keeping you, man? What's keeping you? That is in play. So USC has tied it. They may try and send the runner. They are, and he is safe at the plate. Walk off, 2 out, 2-run double. This is going to be reviewed, though, for USC 6-5 win at Charles Schwab Field in Omaha. Yep. So nothing like a Big Ten tournament in Omaha with USC, UCLA.
It's starting at 9 o'clock in the morning. I love it.
Oregon, Rutgers, the rest of them. Brucey, Bruce, we lean on you for the historical perspective. So before we get to basketball, I just want to tell me about the tush push and this thing that there was reports. Actually, you could have gotten, Charlie, plus 250 that it was going to be banned. 1 hour before it was official, but you could have
took action on that, really?
There was an outlet plus 250 that it was going to be banned, but it fell 2 votes short. The Eagles owner some owners said, man, it was something. Some owners said, when's this guy going to shut up?
He went for over an hour.
An hour.
Jen York for the 49ers got up and said, how much more of this blankety blank do we have to listen to?
Kelsey said, man, he used to complain about it as a player. Well, they flew him over there to try and politic for it as well. So a little politics in the rule changes, and this was illegal for a long time. But 2005, they lifted the assisting abating the runner penalty.
Yeah, Jimmy, and I don't really have a dog in this fight, but I thought the sources and the coverage of it for the side that wanted to ban the tush push was really missing something important here. And you touched upon it there that up to 2005 that was the rule, you couldn't do it. And colleges took another 10 years or so. And college, you can still pull a guy now. You can pull and push. NFL is just push. But refer back to maybe the greatest game in NFL history, the Ice Bowl, and the most famous play, Bart Starr's quarterback sneak. Watch the replay of that and look at Chuck Mercine coming in behind Starr, raising up his hands as he crashes into the line behind Starr, and asked Mercine after the game, "Were you celebrating a TD?" He said, "No." He said, "I didn't want to be called for pushing Bart into the end zone. That would have been a penalty and would have lost the game for us." He had to, and he deduced that very quickly because he's an Ivy League guy. Went to Yale, and he was expecting to get the handoff and was coming forward, but Starr and Lombardi were the only guys who knew Starr was going to keep it because he didn't want to risk the handoff because Donnie Anderson had stumbled the play before. Anyway, so famous play in NFL history. They never mention that. That used to be the rule for a long time, and very few outlets I saw really mention that. None of them mentioned that famous Ice Bowl play, which I thought was, there's a historical argument there to go back to the old rule, and I'm not sure why they changed it in the first place, but I thought the banning the tush push forces sort of missed that historical twinge they could have added to their argument.
Yeah, but I've seen it play hundreds of times, Bruce, and I've never watched the part you're talking about because you're always mesmerized by Jerry Kramer's block on Jethro Pugh. My question in all of this is how much would we be talking about this if it were not for Jalen Hurts? If the Philadelphia Eagles had any other quarterback, how much would they be running this play? And if this rule would have been abolished, okay, if the abating the runner would have been abolished, how much success would Philadelphia have with Jalen Hurts just running a regular old quarterback sneak? Because the guy's still, 600-pound leg squat. I maintain that he would be successful on probably 80 to 90% of these things anyway without being pushed as strong as he is. So how much of this is just really about Jalen Hurts?
Good questions, both, and I think it's probably yes on both. I don't think this would be a subject here if the Eagles didn't use it so much and win the Super Bowl. And, yeah, I agree. Hurts would probably be doing well, 80 to 90% on the quarterback sneaks anyway. They're not the only team doing it. I mean, they just do it, better. Buffalo ran it a lot, too, with Josh Allen, and they had a pretty good, about an 80% success rate, too. So it's not just an Eagles thing. But I think you're right. It became into the forefront there. But I mean, there was a reason they originally didn't want teams to do that. It became too rugby-like, and frankly, there's real precedent and reasoning for that old rule to be resurrected. The way the Kelsey and then
Live at lunch.
It's coming to you live at the corner of Burbank and Lee. Rouse's. We're here for our Friday remote, and how about this? We always give away two $104.50 gift cards. You got to come play Plinko to win. The gift cards are gone, but the cool story is not Carter, who turns 9 years old tomorrow, just had his last day of school at U High, comes here, plays Plinko, first shot, wins a gift card. Dad was telling me he's got to pay for his birthday cake with it, but I think that's bogus. He should get to spend on whatever he wants. But nonetheless, we're having a great time. It's Memorial Day weekend here, honoring our heroes at Rouse's, where we honor and remember. And Rouse's, you're going to be throwing something on the grill, jumping in the pool, having a great time. Rouse's has great specials, including right now only $3.77 a pound for 80% lean ground beef. You're building those better burgers, you better do it here at Rouse's, the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. And we're here until 1 o'clock, so come win some great prizes and stock up for Memorial Day weekend at Rouse's.
There, buddy.
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah, I guess you lost me there, or some. Yeah.
Our computer fired off.
We just had to we just had to see what's going on at the grocery store. But anyway, yes, and the I've got the bigger problem with when there's a receiver or a ball carrier and and here come the linemen and start pushing. That's and to me that's more dangerous as well. I mean, because the ball carrier, he's just protecting the ball because they're tugging on that. So he's just trying to secure the football from fumbling. But, man, that's just a matter of time before when you get caught in a pile and you get your legs and your knees are compromised and you got guys twice your size.
My $300 million quarterback in Buffalo is not running that play.
No, but it's usually more the skill guys that with the ball, the receivers or the running backs that get caught up, and then here come the linemen to try and put – it's just – there's a lot of reaction, though, boy. People just started watching football like I guess 5 or 10 years ago because this penalty was a penalty way longer than it wasn't a penalty. So and you're talking about the Buffalo Bills too, but if you execute it right, I don't know how you can stop it. But they didn't run it right because Allen was way too high because it probably cost them a spot in the Super Bowl on the fourth down quarterback sneak that he gets stopped against the Kansas City Chiefs. So
but one other historical note here: the only sort of comparable thing. You remember when the fridge back in the mid '80s, and there was a thought for a while, we're going to put these big 350-pound guys in to run, at these short yardage situations. That didn't take off. The fridge fumbled a couple times, and that just didn't. But this is a little different because it was used so much more.
That was more a novelty thing, too. We saw it, though. But Lane Kiffin has used it more than anybody. And he went 4 or 5 times in their the game that cost them at Florida. And he brought the big guys at Pegues.
JJ Pegues.
He brought him in, and he converted a couple of times, but he got stopped a couple of times. And that was just a guy that's just such a good play designer, but also on fourth down, he never hesitated. This was a pause on these fourth downs because – you got to get Pegues off the bench. You can't go tempo when he's on the sideline, these short yardage. But, I mean, Florida knew it was coming, and Florida stopped it a couple times. Critical stops, critical plays in that disappointing loss that kept Ole Miss from going to the college football playoff. Speaking of the college football playoff, did you hear the new this was sort of predictable. The only thing we couldn't predict was the little guys with their vote, but it was unanimous. They're going to straight seeding this year, and you're not going to see some of the lower seeded. Not going to see what Boise State having a home game or a bye.
Or Arizona State.
Yeah, Arizona State with a bye.
Yeah, that was expected. No surprise there, and they probably should have done this from the outset, but that didn't surprise at all. No.
All right, Knicks comeback or Knicks meltdown. I'm sorry, Pacers come back in the Garden. I guess you could say just times 2. How was this different? How was it the same? And your thoughts on the Pacers' historical comeback again in the Garden?
Wow, the Knicks played about as well as they could play for about 3 3/4 quarters of that game, and I mean everything was just working right. We shouldn't lose up 14 inside of 3 minutes. But we've seen Indiana do this before in the postseason. Now, I'd mentioned before in some of my write-ups here that I thought at some point Tom Thibodeau uses his starters more than any coach in the league, and they've made a lot of this the last couple of days. These guys might be wearing down. Now, there are some other things going on with Indiana starting to hit all those shots in Neesmith on Game 1. But I think as this series wears on, at some point, I thought that's going to catch up to the Knicks, especially against these guys who use their bench so much. Like I said, they still should have won Game 1, and I think they bounced back tonight. This is another chance for the playoff zigzag. It doesn't always work, but it's worked more often than not. Game 2 usually is a good spot for it, especially if the home team loses in Game 1. Come back in Game 2. It's 4-2 versus the spread this postseason. It's been a pretty good play for several years. Interestingly, it was in the last round when it didn't work, with Boston and Cleveland losing Game 2s at home to both of these teams playing tonight. But the Knicks also have bounced back well from their losses this postseason. They're 4-0 after a defeat. And Indiana's winning games on the road, too, and I think the Pacers do win this series. I really like the depth there, and they've got all these guys who can score, but they're not. It's not going to happen like that, I don't think, again tonight. So I'd actually lay it tonight. I might go over too, because these teams have tended to play higher scoring games, and the Knicks seem to be goaded into that pace that the Pacers want to play, and push the total up a little bit tonight. But I still think this might be an over. But I think tonight is a night maybe the Knicks maybe give them a shot in a zigzag.
Do you think that'll carry over, them playing that up tempo like the Pacers want to, because they are much deeper? Will that have an effect on this series at some point?
Yeah, I think it would if New York keeps doing it. I almost think that they almost can't help themselves getting this against Indiana, and even though they don't run at quite the same pace, they do seem to play accelerated against these guys, and at some point that would cost them. Thibodeau knows that too, so if we're seeing it, then he's sure going to see it, and he'll try to prevent it, but I don't know that you can slow Indiana down the way they go. So, but that depth, that's all part of it too, and I think eventually that'll work in Indiana's favor. Maybe not as much tonight, but downstream in the series, I think that's what will happen.
Any picks on tonight's game or tomorrow night's game? I think you already gave us the Knicks. What about tomorrow night with the T-Wolves trying to get one?
They look in trouble to me. This is sort of like the Dallas series last year, and they look pretty hot coming into the West Final, and they just didn't fire. They need more of these guys stepping up. I mean, they're going to get swept out unless Julius Randle picks it up. Since the first half of game one, he's done basically nothing. And the others, the McDaniels, the Conleys, the Goberts, who had some good moments earlier in the playoffs, really have to step up. Minnesota might get one at home. I think this will still become an over series. We saw an over finally in game two. I don't think it goes beyond 5. So over would be my first pick in game 3. Maybe give Minnesota one more shot. But they're in trouble here. One thing about Oak City, that defense, it creates so much havoc, and the turnovers they force. Now, Minnesota, the first regular season game, 23 turnovers against OKC. Now, they were better the next 3 times they played, and they only averaged about 11. But it's come back to bite them the first 2 games, and that starts Oklahoma City up court the other way. This defense, it's not necessarily an under team, Oak City. Even with that great defense, because they play at a faster pace, but the turnovers they force and the points off turnovers tend to accelerate the score line. So that's why I think this is still going to be an over series, and it won't go more than 5.
Brucey, you back in the Angels lately? Well, what a run they're on out of nowhere.
Yes, I have been, and I might tonight. Now, all of a sudden, we're seeing them lay a big price, but they're scoring so many runs. I'll tell you what, Ohapi and Neto are real future all-stars, if they're not all-stars this year. This is a free-swinging team. They're going to get healthier here. Trout's coming back soon. Soler, Shaniel is hitting well. I mean, all of a sudden, and their pitching hasn't been too bad. I really like Ron Washington, too. I think they're responding to him. I don't think they responded to Phil Nevin, but they seem to like Washington a lot, and I can understand it. You can see he really cares for these guys, and I like the way he's managing. Marlins this weekend, the Angels could be over 500 by Sunday, so I'll keep backing them until they lose.
Yeah, they 9 of 10 on the road. Swept the Dodgers, swept the A's, a 4-game set. They were underdogs in all of those games, and considerable underdogs as well. Yep. Brucey, enjoy the Sunshine State. I know that you will this holiday weekend. We will talk to you next week, my man.
Have a good weekend, boys. Thank you.
All right, don't forget our friends at United Community Bank, the local way to bank big, with locations from Baton Rouge to Golden Meadow, including their newest location at Burbank and Bluebonnet. We've been serving the people of Southern Louisiana for over 50 years. At United Community Bank, your business is our business. We support the hard-working folks behind local business, from initial startup loans to ongoing planning and assessments. United Community Bank is here for you. Heath Meir, Nicole Glover, Hunter Creed, David Campbell, David Henry, Prentice Wilkes. United Community Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender. Okay, so on 7, Scheffler, great to drive, but his approach shot put him about 20, 25 feet away. He 2-putted for a par there. Par 3 on 8. He's got it about, it's a good-looking shot here, about 10 feet from a birdie at the Charles Schwab Challenge, as he's 2 under. We're projected to cut at 1 under.
Live at Rafina's Live at Lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Odd and Hanny from Rufino's on Highland Road on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Today's show brought to you in part by Coastal Capital Advisors, your full-service financial planners. Look, retirement, serious business, and no two situations are alike. So let Coastal Capital Advisors work with you the way they've worked with me. Also, if you've got business partners, if you've got tax professionals that you want to get involved in the process, they're going to make sure that all of your goals are achieved. They'll work with your entire team. Doesn't matter what your age is, doesn't matter what your income level is. They'll tailor-make a plan that makes sense for you so that you can achieve all of your financial goals. For more information, contact Phil Fontenot and his staff, 337-981-1376. Online, coastalcapitaladv.com. Advisory services provided by New Age Advisors. Member FINRA, SIPC. The only thing I wanted to ask you about the seeding and going to straight seeding rather than the conference
college
champions.
Football.
Yeah, the college football thing. Does this not it's the latest body blow, and it will eventually lead to the end of the conference championship games? I've always thought before that there was too much money. The SEC would just block it, too hard because they made too much money off of it. But everybody else, this is not the financial windfall the way it is for the SEC. And now that there's no on-the-field incentive to winning your conference championship for the Arizona States of the world or the SMUs of the world, aren't they all going to vote against it? And isn't the college football playoff going to compensate the SEC for the money lost in the SEC championship game by adding 4 more teams to this thing, going to 16, guaranteeing the SEC will get 4 teams in, and this is the end of the conference championship games at some point?
I would think so. And also I think it, now that you got some extra revenue from ESPN finally, giving him a number for a ninth conference game, that allows, that makes it, you pick it up money, so you get, they have to. I mean, it's
the conference championship game knocked Texas out of the top 4 last year.
Without
it, they don't.
It's different, like baseball. We're going to see these guys are just not, Jay Johnson's going to show you tonight. He showed us with Skeens. That game was close. They're not going to, not going to throw Anderson, that long. 4 to 5 innings, 75 pitches, and if you remember that was Hagen-Smith, Paul Skeens matchup. Yeah. They pulled Smith out before that, pulled him at like 55, 60.
It was 76. I looked it up this morning. That's the only reason I know. Skeens was at 88. Hagen-Smith was at 76. They both threw 3 2/3 innings. So Smith got through his 3 2/3.
Skeens in the Wake Forest semifinal game threw 118.
About, yeah.
124.
It was. In fact, I think it was in the 120s without looking, because
I was surprised he came out for the last inning.
His pitch count was ticking about 12 to 15 ahead of Rhett Lauder. Lauder came out of the game earlier than he did.
Right.
Right. Yeah, it did. It was it was at the top of his pitch count for sure in that game.
So with football just teams kind of opt out. I mean, it's the physical nature of the sport. They're looking for kind of like to kind of rest all those aches and pains, those bruises, and those guys that are playing. They could use a little bit of a week off or something to play a high level game. And
they've already floated the idea.
Championship Saturday is probably championship weekend is probably going to. I mean, Ohio State didn't play in theirs, but they won the damn national championship.
Right.
And which is more important?
And we've seen teams not win. Hell, Alabama didn't even play in their conference championship game when it was 2 teams. Okay, and still made it. So you're talking about already floating the idea of the 4th and 5th place teams playing for a spot, kind of like a play-in game into the college football playoff.
Well, that's if there's something to that, though. I mean, you got that on the line. If that's your 4th and your 5th teams playing for that 4th spot, I mean,
they're playing for their postseason life, and Can you sell that as much as you can sell a
not
championship game?
But yeah, well, a play-in to the college football playoff, I think is still sellable with a conference as strong as the SEC and at the fourth and fifth teams. I'm interested. I'm watching. I mean, but it's not. You can't label it a conference championship.
No,
I mean you just can't.
It's a play-in game.
Yeah, it's a play-in.
The conference championship games, as we know them, I think are on life support.
How many times, if you have a 16-team playoff and you have guaranteed 4 teams, a lot of times you're going to have a 5th team in. I'd say more than not.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, the SEC and the strength. Come on, I mean,
yes.
Usually out of a 16-team league, SEC, the 5th place team is going to be. He's going to usually get in there.
And let's not act like the SEC championship game was ever about crowning a true champion. It was never about that, and I'm not sure the conference championships even mean anything anymore. It was always about money. Okay, there were some years, like when Alabama played Florida, and they were both undefeated, that it defined a true champion. But many of those years, LSU's first SEC championship game victory was a game that never should have been played. Tennessee had a 2-game lead and had beaten them in the regular season, and yet they had to beat LSU again, which they didn't do. So it was never about crowning a true champion. It was always about money.
No, and I mean, yeah, money's a part of it, but no,
when Kramer put this thing together, and everybody hated the idea originally, he sold it largely because of the revenue grab that it was. That was
Charlie,
my read on it.
You've been in that stadium for those games, man. That conference championship game means soming. You can't tell me it doesn't.
There's some juice to it, but it's never been.
Well, we were evolving. We had a 2-team playoff, then a 4-team playoff. Now we got a 12-team playoff, and about to get a 16-team playoff. Okay,
right.
I get it, and this is one of the, this is one of the casualties. But you're going to tell me that you were in there in 2001? When LSU upset Tennessee and cost them a spot in the national championship, you tell me to win that SEC championship wasn't a big deal?
It was a big deal, and it meant something, and it had a lot of juice. I've been to every one of the LSU.
Well, what are you saying then?
I'm saying that it was never about fairness in football. It was never about
what
crowning
you did, because when you
champion.
expanded from 10 to 12, you were trying to determine a champion, and you might have the champion where they avoided the best teams. You had to beat the best team to get this championship, okay? So you could have had a lighter schedule in your division.
Side, yeah.
In your division, and, just the old way, no, you had a better record. Well, you didn't have to play this team. Now, it worked the opposite way that time because you had the upset, and LSU pulled off the upset in 2001. But I mean,
how many times were the best 2 teams in the same division? I mean, that happened quite a few times.
You did, but you played each other.
You did.
You had to play a round robin within your division, and so at 12 teams, there was some integrity to it. You can have a team with a worse record that actually lost, and he'd have a rematch like he did LSU Tennessee. But damn, if Tennessee played better, they'd have won. They didn't play well.
They sure.
I mean, come on. You were going to run the quarterback draw 10 times. You ain't going to adjust one time. I mean, in one half. So no, they didn't play well, and LSU improved. Georgia thought they had the better team when they lost in 2003 in Tiger Stadium. Well, they may have had the better team in the early October part of the schedule, but in early part of December, they weren't. LSU had improved much more than Georgia and waxed them, in their home away from home, an hour and 15 minutes from campus. So you can't tell me that Sure, the money was there, but there's a lot of juice, and you see that there's never an empty seat for an SEC championship game where you see 25,000 in Charlotte sometimes, or you see the Big Ten usually had some good crowds, but you can't tell me that wasn't a big deal. It's just I'm fine with it not being, but you can't. I'm not going to go back and say because that's just not remembered properly or accurately.
Last year there was a real incentive for Georgia to win this thing, okay, because they got the bye and Texas didn't. If those 2 teams would have played in the exact same situation last year with this new seeding, would the game have had as much juice?
No, of course, no. This is it's going to be a casualty.
Yeah,
it's good. No. We agree on that.
Yeah,
I mean, but you can't tell me before that we're 1 year into the 12-team playoff. One. Okay, at a 14 playoff, it still had a lot of juice.
Yes,
and
it did.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
So no, and it's no. I mean, you get the bye, so you have something at stake. I mean,
you did, and
it's the playoff is. It reduces the importance of the conference championship game. It's just that simple.
And it will, and I think it will eventually. The conference championship games, as we know them, will go by the wayside. And if they want to play the play-in games to juice it up, increase, try to recoup some of that revenue, maybe that's a good idea. It gives you one more shot at getting into playoffs if you are in that 4 or 5. Situation in the SEC.
They're also reporting that in 2026, they're close to expanding to a 16-team playoff.
Yeah.
I would just mention, when they expanded to a 12-team playoff, we mentioned a lot that Penn State was probably the biggest beneficiary of that, of anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Let's be honest, LSU would be a huge beneficiary to open it up to 16 teams because they were always in that realm of that cusp in the SEC. Just to give you an idea, in the last 16 seasons, LSU's finished within 12 to 18 in the final rankings 8 times. So half the times they finished in that sort of 12 to 18. So they're right on that cusp of, say, a 16-team playoff. So that could be something that benefits them long-term if they expand the playoff at all.
That's underperforming. LSU should be one of the top 12 teams in the country. I think that's a fair cutoff. And
absolutely.
I think that's, their resources, LSU's the top 12 in their resources.
Truth be known, they should have made the top 4 more than once in the 12 years that it ran. It was a 14 playoff for how many years?
14 playoff was about
the 14 playoff started in 2013, right?
I think that's
Yeah,
right.
okay,
So it's been a
with
while.
the first year when
About 10 years.
Ohio State won, right?
Yeah.
Beat Oregon.
So whatever year that was.
Because Florida State was in that, got waxed by Oregon, but they had won the last 2 teams when they beat Auburn.
They should be in a 14 playoff more than 10% of the time, or 8% of the time.
I agree. I'm just saying, if it were
you make a
16,
point.
they'd have been in quite a few of those.
You make a point for sure.
Should make it 32, and we're great.
Yeah,
everybody gets a trophy.
Well, we could just start in September with 130 and just have the playoff then, and we'll just whittle it down.
Well, we just talk about, what is fair and, as far as an evaluation of a coach and, do you get a pass or a fail as, and to expect every year to make a 4-team, that's just not mathematically fair.
No.
But 12-team, yeah. I mean, it's pass fail at 12.
Don't you think
it'd be even more so at 16?
If the current coach doesn't make the 12-team playoff this year, don't you think there are going to be some ramifications behind that?
Like what? You're not going to fire him?
No, I don't think you're going to fire him, but
okay, yeah, they got fans that are unhappy right now.
Sure,
and rightfully so.
Sure,
and that's sort of fair. This is a program
at 12 teams. Yes,
this is only once in the history of college football that you took a job that the previous 3 coaches won a national championship.
They went out and raised an obscene amount of money to put this team
This
together.
is his best roster.
Right. And if they don't make it, if the ramifications are going back and raising that amount of money again, might not be as easy.
I think they get it done this year.
I do too.
I think they're, Scheffler. Now you got a 15-footer to try and, I'm sorry, it's 20 feet. It's 25 feet for par. He's going to finish with a bogey here. If he finishes 1 under, he's cut, right?
No, 1 under is going to be the
make
cut.
it.
He'll make
okay.
it. So he should be safe. By the way, Ryo Satsune, 2 under through 2 holes.
It's Satsune, my favorite Japanese golfer. Let's go. Keep him going.
You were going to finish your thought on the football before the putt went awry?
The least thing I worry about O'Brien Kelly is him getting the most out of his roster. I think they're fine. I think they're going to the playoff this year.
I think this is a playoff roster.
I think
said that in January after the transfer came
that's
in.
the least. When he just has to coach and get the most out of his roster. No, you got the best roster. You got an experienced, high-level quarterback. There's a lot of things you can do. And no, I've never been a problem. I've been a problem of his roster compiling and some of his ineffectiveness and laziness has and not adapting to the new landscape of roster building. I think is put LSU in a spot where they're not used. I still don't think this is a 2011 roster. I don't think it's a 2019 roster, but it's his best roster by far, in my opinion.
I don't know that the 2011 rosters of LSU and Alabama are attainable anymore. With the transfer, the depth.
We agree. But Ohio State's roster was damn good last year. Ohio State's roster last year was, it was close to that 2011.
The top 22, yes. I don't think you'll ever have the depth of the rosters.
Nobody does.
No,
nobody does.
Those guys on the 2011 team that didn't play, ended up in the NFL, didn't play that season.
I know. Don't forget our friends at United Community Bank, the local way to bank big. I did this one already, didn't I?
Okay. You want to talk about the Thibodeau store?
Yeah, let's talk about the
Thibodeau store.
Come on, Prentice Wilkes. He's in. By the way, we are working. I love Prentice over and my friends over at United Community Bank. I bank with them over at Blue Bonnet in Burbank, and so adjustable and things like that with CDs when the market wasn't doing so good and stuff like that. So
Max, he's already on the holiday weekend.
But anyway, our friends at Thibodeau store. It's a Thibodeau store. It's a Thibodeau store meets Iverstein Farms type of weekend. This is the time where you get the green egg on and you go and get my steaks and burgers and hot dogs and everything else from Iverstein. And yes, you think just jump in the pool. Got the outside TVs going. We got horse racing. We got baseball, college baseball. If Hitsatsune can get it rolling, the green egg from the Thibodeau store with all my gadgets, the electric starter, where you're not fighting with those coals, man. You don't know how easy this is. So, got all my stuff to put on the grill from Iverstein, and I got my stuff from the Thibodeau store. And knocking it out this weekend, Charlie. I ain't getting on the road. You can come over if you want, Charlie.
900 St. Patrick Highway in Thibodeau. DoItBest.com/Thibodeau store. D1 Baseball's got their latest predictions for the field out. We'll tell you what Kendall and the boys think about LSU when we come back live at Rufino's. Live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Otten Hanny from Rufino's on Highland Road on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
And we return. We're also brought to you by Louisiana Health and Injury Centers, helping you deal with pain. Dr. Michael Goff and his staff, man, have they helped us out over the years with aches and pains and things that, just not keep you from getting around as well as you'd like to or getting a good night's sleep. Let them work with you, get you into a program that's going to treat those problem areas, target them, get you to feeling better, whether it's just some exercises and stretches or adjustments, or it is a cryotherapy, ultrasound therapy, a dry needle. They're going to get you to feeling better. Airline Highway, Plank Road, Jefferson Highway near Drusilla, Dr. Michael Goff, Louisiana Health and Injury Centers. All right, new projections from D1 Baseball on the field of 64. We got a lot more clarity now with some of these teams being eliminated. Texas is the number one seed in this projection. Texas's resume is locked. They're out of the tournament. They won the SEC by 2 games. They've got the most Q1 wins. I don't care that their RPI is 5. We're done talking about Texas. Number 2 seed is Arkansas. They are still alive in the SEC tournament. They'll play at 3 o'clock today against Ole Miss. 3 RPI, 20 conference wins, 14 Q1 wins. We're done talking about Arkansas. Vanderbilt is still in the tournament. In fact, right now, Vanderbilt would have to be considered the favorite to win the SEC tournament. I don't know if we got odds on that updated, Max, but they are in the semifinals already. They're a day ahead of this bracket, and they have played the fewest amount of games in that side. So they threw J.D. Thompson yesterday. They got 2/3 of their SEC rotation left. Their odds are
They're 4-1. They're fourth choice behind Arkansas, LSU, and Tennessee. So maybe a little value there.
Yeah, definitely value there. They should be the favorites for sure.
Yep.
As far as the national seeds, they are the 3 seed in this deal. They are currently the number 1 RPI team. 19 conference wins, 16 Q1 wins, which is second only to Texas. We're done talking about Vandy. They are locked. North Carolina at number 4. Their RPI is 7, 18 ACC wins. They did not win the conference, and they've only got 8 Q1 wins.
If they lose to Boston College, will be a damaging loss.
Yeah, I'm not ready to call. I'm fine calling them a top 8 right now. If they lose, I'm not ready to say that they are locked. But
they announced Knapp as a starter today.
Knapp?
Which is
the
ACC pitcher of the year.
That's I don't know if they've announced it, but that's who I'm expecting.
It's kind of like a little bit of a LSU versus A&M type of. I mean, Boston College is That
would
very
hurt 'em.
surprise run in the ACC tournament.
I'm willing to call North Carolina like an 80-90%. But if they lost
National
today,
seed?
that'd
be damaging loss.
If Florida State came through that thing and won it, and North Carolina lost today, might get a little interesting.
Is Arnold throwing today for Florida State?
That's a good question.
Looking at the odds, it's minus $2 against Duke. Duke's good.
Let's call North Carolina probable at this point. 5 national seed is LSU. I think we know their resume pretty well. The RPA is down to 9, which doesn't bother me. 19 conference wins, 13 Q1 wins, which has got you in the top 8 of the Q1 wins. A loss today to Texas A&M would hurt. Okay, it knocked Auburn down. What ended up being 4 spots in the RPIs. If LSU went from 1 to 5, if it went from 1 to 5, and then they jumped back up to 4 after the night session, shuffle some things up a little bit.
Alabama, when they lost to Tennessee, went from 8 or 9 to 11.
And today they're 12. Yeah, they went from 9 to 11, and now they're 12. If LSU dropped in the RPIs with a loss to Texas A&M,
say 10.
Even if it was down to 11, I still think that they're in good shape because I don't think Oregon State.
Charlie, you're pushing it a little bit.
No, it gets closer. There's no question. I still think they're ahead of Oregon State in the committee's mind, even though they're not ahead of them in the RPIs because of the Q1 wins and because Oregon State they can't improve upon their resume at this point. And right this second, D1 thinks that they're out.
And I don't say playing in the Mountain West Conference in baseball.
They did not. They played as an independent.
Okay. Okay.
And then the other team that would potentially jump them in the RPIs is Coastal Carolina, and I just cannot for the life of me get my head around the idea that one loss to Texas A&M would drop LSU so far that Coastal Carolina would take that top 8. Tennessee, if they won the SEC tournament, I still think they're a host, but a top 8, 16 conference wins in the regular season. It's the same amount of Q1 wins. I think LSU's in. I really do. I got a hard time believing that they go from where they are right now to out of the top 8 entirely with one loss to Texas A&M. But I have to concede that is there a 1% chance? Yeah, maybe so, but I think they're in. Georgia is the number 6 seed. Their resume is locked. 2 RPI. Down to 11 Q1 wins. I still think Georgia's in. Again, probably put them in the same boat as LSU. Auburn, the 7 seed. I think Auburn's actually got a better case than Georgia. They're a couple behind them in the RPIs, but they're still 4. They got 4 more Q1 wins. They had 1 less win in the regular season. I think they're in pretty good shape. And then the last one is Oregon. The Ducks are still alive in the Big Ten tournament. Their RPI is 14, 9-1 record against Q1 teams, so it's fewer games played but a better winning percentage. They play Nebraska tonight at Charles Schwab Field. I think that game starts at 6 o'clock. So for LSU to drop out of this top 8, somebody's got to take their place. Is it Oregon State? I already told you why I don't think. Is it Coastal Carolina? I already told you why I don't think. Florida State at 11 scares me a little bit because if they win the ACC tournament, you would have more Q1 wins than LSU. You would have an RPI that's comparable to LSU if the Tigers lose to A&M, maybe even a little bit ahead. That one concerns me just a touch, but not much. I still think that they're in.
All right, you going to your friend's pool or your cookout of this weekend? Don't go empty-handed. Load up with some margaritas over at Los Reyes Mexican Grill on Lee, just off of Nicholson. Yes, indeed. Bring a fajita tray or just gallons of margaritas, whatever it is. Don't go empty-handed. Go see my buddies, Mr. Scott, Mr. Kyle, Miss Blair over at Los Reyes Mexican Grill. It's my favorite spot to stop on the way home from watch the games over at the Queen and go to Los Reyes again on Lee Drive, just off of Nicholson, across from Mike Anderson's. And speaking of the Queen, we will have our NCAA baseball tournament selection show. It's right, sort of our annual Memorial Day show. It's the only local show that day, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Come on by and join us over at the Queen. Of course, we'll be announcing, the first half hour. We'll have the Field of 64, breaking it down, immediate reaction, and some guests lined up as well. So that is Monday, live from the DraftKings Sportsbook at the Queen Casino. It's our NCAA baseball tournament selection show.
Back to wrap it up here at Ruffino's, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Odd and Hanny from Rufino's on Highland Road on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Back here at Rufino's live at lunch. SEC tournament, 3 o'clock, Ole Miss and Arkansas. Arkansas basically in the same boat as LSU is. I think they're gonna throw Zach Root today, probably, about in that same, deal at
70, 75
Yeah,
inches.
something somewhere in that area. Ole Miss, actually, if they win the tournament, they'll have a shouting chance at a host site. They probably have to win the whole thing, but they have been playing well of late. And I'll tell you what, they'd be a dangerous 2 seed if you throw them out there with the way Hunter Elliott has pitched in the last couple of weeks. They'd be a dangerous 2 if they go somewhere. Any of those SEC teams going in as a 2 would just scare the hell out of me.
Has he been pitching Friday or Saturday night?
Fridays.
Friday. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So if they're a 2 seed, theoretically they could roll the dice and hold him if they wanted to, take a shot, and try to win the regional. It's been done before.
Oh, if you're a national seed, yeah. I mean, he's playing to win the thing, man.
Yeah. Thanks to the folks here at Rufino's for being our host. Lamb lollipops, lobster and corn ravioli. That's on the way. Seafood Fra Diavolo. The Fra Diavolo is among my favorites here at Rufino's. Again, Monday, we are working. The selection show will be a part of our broadcast at the Queen at 11 a.m. For Jimmy, for Jordan, for Max, I'm Charles Henniger saying.
What about Matt at Rouse's?
Yes, at Matt at Rouse's.
All right,
Thanks.
come on.
Stay tuned for, I believe, Musso subbing in for